right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is Firearms Friday, and here we go. All right, good morning, everybody. Patrick says, be prepared for leftist meltdowns this weekend. Maria Machado gave her Nobel Peace Prize medal to Trump yesterday. Oh man, I did not see that in the news. We'll have to keep an eyeball out for that. Hey, the leftist meltdowns over this weekend might be the compilation we need for a Monday morning show. That might work out great. All right, so
Okay, Aaron, good check. I got you. Bit Daddy says, but she kept the $1 million. You know what? Fair play. There's a good argument to be made that she probably needed it more than the Donald did. So, for those of you who joined us last night, I hope you enjoyed what we did last night. And I'll tell you the truth, the point last night was to just do a quick half hour, starting at 8:30, so we could do a raid on Alex and Danny's show over the TPS report. And last night we were talking about Minnesota, the Minnesota madness, and we raided y'all over to TPS report where they were talking about stuff going on with Iran. Patrick says he sent the article over to submissions. Okay, I'm not going to dig into that this morning, Patrick, but thanks for sending it. So I've got it for Monday. That's perfect. And so since we're on that for a second, Patrick just sent something over to submissions. Now there is you've heard us reference the infamous thread. That's the group chat that must never be revealed. And through the same mechanism, we have an internal BFM submissions where the longtime friends of the show send us stuff. But you guys, the rest of you out there who, those of you who don't come over to my house for barbecues on weekends and just watch the show and enjoy the show and are our good fans that we love and appreciate, by the way, y'all can send us stuff to the show at Brushfire Mind. If you got something you'd like us to cover, seen a great DGU, a defensive gun use story, you can send submissions to the show at brushfiremind.com. And that's a good way to get engaged with the show and kind of be a part of the process. And I'll tell you the truth, we do this show daily, right? 5 days a week at 07:30, and then the deep dive on Saturday evenings at 2100. There's a lot of work that goes into making this show happen, right? I very rarely get out of bed later than 4:00 in the morning because I got to read the headlines. I got to do the search engine optimization to write a title and description and design these beautiful thumbnails so so that you guys can be entertained by the images and make sure that there's something here to tickle the eyeballs when we open up and go live. Got to keep the flavors fresh, so we got to do a fresh one every morning, right? Like this is the one from last night, and that's part of the job. So a lot of work goes into it. If you guys have stories you want me to cover, events that you want to hear my opinion on, you see something that it kind of feels weird in the back of your brain when you read it, send it over and I'll take a look at it and I'll apply my professional intelligence operator analytical brain to it and see if we can't get to the bottom of stuff that's going on. Also with that, it's midterm year, guys. There's big stuff happening this year. These midterms are maybe not the most important, but the most consequential might be the correct way to say that. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about that phrasing going forward. But the midterms this year are a big deal because one of two things is going to happen. The Republicans are going to keep and expand their control of the House and Senate. And then we're going to see incredible improvement, gas prices dropping, interest rates dropping, probably much faster development on AI, which is kind of a mixed bag, but, and more net demigration, net negative migration, getting rid of hostile foreign aliens, more shutting down Somali fraud schemes. And the Somalis are the big ticket in the news right now as far as fraud schemes go, but they are not the only ones. And the frauds that have been committed by Somalis in Minnesota to the tune of $9 billion are all that's not it. Like that's a big deal, but it's going on in New York, it's going on in California, it's going on in Washington State, it's going on everywhere that there are Democrats in charge. I guarantee you there's a similar foreigner fraud scheme going on in Atlanta, Georgia, just up the street from me. I say just up the street. It's a 2-hour drive, y'all. I had a cat call me yesterday. Hey, we were trying to get some photography done for our Airbnb listing, and the photographer fell through. I got your name from my agent. Can you do an emergency last minute photography session? I was like, yeah, sure. What's the address? And he told me the address. I said, oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I tell you what, brother, I'd be happy to do it, but I'm going to have to bill you for 300 miles of driving before we discuss what your 30 photos cost. Oh, well, I got you. I referred him over to a buddy of mine to go take care of him. But so that's what happens if we win, if the Republicans win the midterms. What happens if the Republicans lose? What happens if the Democrats take control of the House and Senate? Well, Trump will be impeached. There's a lot of doomsayers out there who are telling you that if the Democrats win, that Trump will be impeached, removed from office, incarcerated, and then probably be assassinated in prison. Okay, slow down. There is a real possibility that Democrats win in November, that they take control of the House and Senate. But if that happens, they will have a slim majority, not an overwhelming one. They will have one that is sufficient to file articles of impeachment and maybe secure a conviction on articles of impeachment in the Senate after. But they would require a veto-proof majority to remove President Trump from office. Sergeant Major says if Democrats win, they'll pack the court. I don't think so. Not the midterms. If the next time the Democrats have the presidency, the House, and the Senate, then they will pack the court. Right? The next time the Democrats have unified control of government, then they will immediately you will see 13 justices. You will see 13 Supreme Court justices. And honestly, I'm a big fan of that idea. Right now, Donald Trump should absolutely appoint 4 more Republican justices to the Supreme Court today. Oh, but then the Democrats can... No, they're going to do it anyway. Fuck them. Stop playing games. Do the job. Sergeant Major says the Senate is not going to flip because we will go vote. And yeah. So like I said, they will need, I don't believe there's any circumstance under which they win a sufficient, the 2/3 majority in November where they'll be able to secure an impeachment and remove him from office and lock him up. Okay. That's not going to happen. But if they get the House and the Senate in November, he will get his 3rd impeachment. At least he'll at least get the 3-peat. And when that fails to remove him from office, they'll impeach him for something else. It will be completely fallacious. It'll be utterly fabricated. And in 2 or 3 years after it happens, we'll have all the evidence you need to point at it and say, look, this was a massive conspiracy to defraud the American people, a high crime, one that absolutely requires prosecution and incarceration. And then because the Republican Party are cowards, just like when we discovered conclusively, this isn't a conspiracy theory. The evidence is there. We've seen it, that the entire Russia hoax was set up and paid for by the Clinton for presidency campaign, by the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, in conjunction with Perkins Coie law firm, their surrogate, and the Democrat National Committee and the Democrat National Party. They were in together on it. We are not speculating on this. This is known. Okay. So all that said, and I'm way off topic this morning. I apologize for that. This is not the video that the thumbnail, that the title and description promised. I mean, the thumbnail this morning just promised Firearms Friday, which we're getting to. But I sent out some emails yesterday, and Pitt Danny, actually out of curiosity, who's the Rockdale County Republican Party chair now? Is it still oh shit, I can't remember his name. I can see his face. Is it Chavez? Is that his last name? Anyway, Sergeant Major mentions Mike Collins. Okay, y'all lost me. Oh, yeah. Collins is, yeah, and Collins is my guy. We got a meeting coming up next week that I'm going to try to go to where I believe he's speaking. I'm going to try to hit that. I think that's the Jefferson County GOP. Anyway, GOP groups, guys. I've put together a slide deck explaining how logistics work. Yeah, Jonathan Chavez. Thanks, guys. Let him know that I'm doing this, and if Alex or Danny, either one, if y'all could send me his email address, I'll get in contact with him. Pitt Danny says second place is Buddy Carter. I think I know Buddy. Not well. I've met him a couple times. But I've put together a slide deck, and a presentation that I'm going to have to rehearse a few times and get good at. But the first one that I want to do, and this is going around to these small local GOP groups and speaking to those groups. And I've talked about this on the show before. We need asses in seats, butts in seats all day. Because what you'll find when you go to the local GOP groups is it'll be a dozen octogenarians and one or two guys in their 50s. Right? I am usually the youngest guy in the room, unless they've got a speaker from TPUSA that's there to talk to all the people in the room that are older than me. That's just how that goes. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And that's something that we need to work on. That's an audience that I want to tap for the Brushfire Mind. And not only that, that is a workforce that needs to be mobilized to get their kids involved. Right? So we need to work on that. So I'd be happy to come speak at the Rockdale GOP. I'll bring my projector and my presentation. And the first presentation that I want to give to these groups wherever I can is about logistics. Okay? About logistic interdiction of the left. Right? You can look back to 2016 and Trump's strategy back then, where he spent 10% of what the Hillary Clinton campaign spent on his campaign and won. And a massive part of how he did that is through the Sun Tzu Art of War principle of feeding your troops off of captured supply, which is to say the Democrats spent a fortune on media campaigns designed to smear Donald Trump. And he very cleverly converted those into living rent-free in their heads. He became the only thing the algorithm would recommend. Right? He fed his troops off of captured enemy supply. And that's what we need to do. And in order to capture the enemy's supply, you have to identify where their store boxes are. You have to identify where their magazine is. You have to identify where their quartermaster is held up. Well, we know where these places are. It's every American university. It's every media institution that isn't explicitly conservative right wing, right? You can see it in public schools. You can see it in public and private universities. You can see it in captured police organizations even. Look at what's happening in Minnesota, right? Which is what I was going to talk about this morning. And I know I've been ranting about midterms and whatnot for the last 20 minutes. But yeah, help me out, guys. Reach out to your local GOP groups in Georgia. I don't have the time, the patience, or the gas to start stretching this out across the country. I'm looking to, I'm gonna work Georgia, but I can work most, if not all of Georgia, maybe a little bit of Florida, but I'm not going to Miami. It's just too far. Use that same submissions contact point, the show at brushfiremind.com to get me the contact information for whoever your leadership is with your local GOP groups. And I'll start reaching out to them to try and come out and do a live in-person talk, hand out some material, on some flyers, get y'all some business cards, and all that kind of good stuff. Who knows? Maybe I'll start printing up the Brushfire Mind T-shirts and stickers again. Danny says the next Rockdale County meeting is February 2nd. Danny, do you know if y'all already have a speaker scheduled for that? I mean, that's pretty soon, so I would expect you to already have a speaker lined up. But let me know about that when you can. So let's do some Firearms Friday stuff this morning. Last night we covered the criminals, the rioters in Minnesota, actually breaking into the back of an I'm sorry, not ICE, an FBI truck. Excuse me. of an FBI truck and stealing a rifle.
Almost there.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Oh, my.
And boom, there's the face. That's the face. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, and last night, like I said last night, you can absolutely 100% take this next statement to be legal advice. If you have a visible, obvious, recognizable face tattoo, maybe violent crime in public is not the one you want. Maybe, just maybe, you don't want to do that and risk this one. Uh-oh. I got him out of order. Damn it. That was going to be so. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so he wasn't arrested last night. He could have been, but the Minneapolis police did.
I know you just talked to a high-placed source.
So this is Nick Sorter. He's a pretty famous independent journalist, Twitter personality, conservative reporter, and he's the one that actually shot that footage, who actually filmed this criminal right here, something Gutierrez, I think. And off of that video, it looks like if it weren't for Sorter's video, this dude might have gotten away with it. And Jason says, yeah, definitely a gang member. Yes. In fact, he's a Latin Kings gang member. In fact, that's what this tattoo is. It's a face with a crown on it for the Latin Kings.
DOJ, tell us more.
Yeah, so he wasn't arrested last night. He could have been, but the Minneapolis police didn't bother chasing the vehicle that had just stolen a high-powered rifle out of an FBI car. So that stole it out of one of these weapons lockers that was in the back. But what I can confirm now...
Real quick, before he says the rest of that, what I can confirm, that shot right there...
car. So...
that shot right there, that is a separate incident. Okay, so this isn't just like a one-off thing that happened somewhere. No. So what's going on? What's actually going on that they I guess they just haven't put their finger on it yet. What's going on is they started the crowd raided and smashed into the windows of one FBI vehicle and got their hands on some documents. And those documents include the names and badge numbers of FBI agents, ICE agents, federal agents operating in and around Minneapolis and Minnesota. And then they read those names off on a live stream on social media with as much information. They doxed the agents. And so what it looks like is going on here is now these hordes of ravening sociopaths are going to the private homes or the TDY lodgings of these individual federal agents, finding their vehicles based on the fact that they got their tag numbers from breaking into another vehicle, got their tag numbers, got their badge numbers and all that, and they're using that to basically target and hunt down these vehicles. So I don't know if you noticed. Let me go back to the first one. You know, we say this is an ICE vehicle, but this is. I don't see.
Oh, wow.
I don't see any badging on the vehicle. It looks like this is the OV, privately owned vehicle.
Did he get
of the agent, right? And this is the end of Nick Sorter's video here, where he captured the license plate of the criminal that ran away.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it looks like this is the private vehicle of the agent, and it's happened more than once. go back to here. So what you guys are seeing in this shot right here, this is a separate incident where they broke open the back of one of these FBI agents' cars. And it may be their G-Jet. It may be their issued vehicle. But they broke into the back of it, and they tied a tow strap around the strong box in the back of the car and ripped it out with a pickup truck. Real quick, Patrick, you said check the thread. Are you talking about the Mira Altobel Resendez link? Is that the one you're talking about? I'll get to it in a minute. So let's listen to the rest of what he said here. Oh, Pitt Danny says they burned 3 cars afterward.
That stole it out of one of these weapons lockers that was in the back. But what I can confirm now is that Raul Gutierrez, age 33, that you see in the video that I posted last night, stealing a firearm from an FBI vehicle, has been arrested by the ATF and the DOJ. They executed an arrest warrant today, and he's a known member of the Latin Kings gang. I just got all this information just before I came on air. He's got a lengthy, violent rap sheet. Of course, he should have been in prison already, but in Tim Waltz, Minnesota, like they don't arrest anybody here. So it's not surprising that he was able to go out and beat this gun safe to a pulp and pull this automatic firearm out of it and run away with it. And, you know, hell, if it wasn't for, honestly, a lot of us independent journalists on the ground that were able to get a video of this, nobody would have seen it happen.
Wouldn't know about it.
They were able to find this guy based on a video from independent journalists, the one that we posted last night. I mean, it's crazy that it has to be us doing this.
So, Nick, did you talk to...
Now, he says it's crazy that it has to be us doing this. Donald Trump is rightly talking about invoking the Insurrection Act and sending federal forces out to restore law and order. We talked about this last night, too. So the way the law works, the president has the authority to deploy the National Guard under what's called the protective principle in order to go and secure the security of federal agents and federal properties in states. What that means, in this situation where people are breaking into an FBI agent's car, that is federal property. The theft of the rifle, that's federal property. So while under normal circumstances, the president deploying the National Guard, because of habeas corpus, cannot enforce the law, right? All they can do is protect the federal property. So they're not there to make arrests, to write traffic tickets, etc. What they're there to do is to stand by with rifles ready to rock and roll and identify rioters who are about to throw Molotov cocktails and put a stop to it. Right? If they're about to throw Molotov cocktails, as they have done in the past at federal buildings, right? You got them coming in to firebomb a post office or, I don't know, perhaps St. John's Cathedral, then the National Guard can open fire, solve the problem. Then you get to the insurrection principle, the Insurrection Act. Here's the distinction. If Trump institutes the Insurrection Act here, then the National Guard is sent in to restore law and order, and they can then enforce the law. The last time we saw this was in the early 90s with the LA riots. The National Guard has been deployed many times between the LA riots and now under the protective principle, but actually going in to enforce law and quell a riot, that was the LA riots. And something interesting happened in the LA riots. We all love the story of the roof Koreans, right? The Hanguk Juins got up on their G-boongs with their bang bangs, and they said, Ojima, don't come here. Iri Ojima, don't you come here, right? They got up on the roofs, and they defended their private property, their livelihood, their businesses from the enemy. Why? Why did that happen? Because the riots got so out of control that the police force was insufficient that the local police force, the LA sheriffs, the LAPD, and California, and in particular Los Angeles, did not have sufficient manpower to fight the mob. Right? The Chinese communists are very good at a little something we call the human wave, where they hand out rifles to the front line, and then they put 1 million warfighters behind them, whose instructions are, when the guy in front of you falls, you pick up his rifle. Because we got plenty of people we don't need, but we can't afford that many rifles. When the guy in front of you falls, you pick up his rifle. Well, that's a very effective tactic. Because as badass as the U.S. warfighter is, as much as I can make a shot one-handed at 300 meters while talking on the radio, if it comes down to it, I've seen me do it. I do have a limited number of bullets, right? I cannot carry 1 million bullets to fight 1 million frickin' human wave attackers. That's not an option, right? You got a couple of thousand cops and tens of thousands of rioters. You have a problem. You have a very serious problem. Well, Tim Walz is complaining, and we showed a video clip last night of Jacob Frey complaining as well. So Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota, and Jacob Frey is the mayor of Minneapolis. Frey is complaining that, and this is so fucking backwards. Frey was saying that the Minnesota Police Department needs to be, and the people are calling for it, and he supports their doing it, that the Minnesota Police Department, the Minneapolis Police Department needs to be fighting the ICE agents. He said these words, fighting the ICE agents in the street. But, he complains, we just don't have that many officers. We're very short-staffed. We don't have the manpower to repel the federal government. That's his complaint. Okay, Pitt Danny says, and you're correct, that right there is insurrection, 100%. But here's another one for you. How did it get to where it is? Tim Walz and Jacob Frey both have famously made public statements. This was before anything happened with the Renée Good shooting. Made public statements alleging that the ICE operations are illegal. They're not. That's a lie. That's a fucking lie. Excuse my language. That ICE agents are arresting, just randomly grabbing citizens out of their homes. Tim Walz literally said that the ICE agents are going door to door, knocking on doors and asking residents, which of your neighbors are brown people? No, they're not. How do I know they're not? Do I know that that's not happening because I trust what ICE tells me when ICE agents, ICE leadership, or the president of the United States tell me that that's not happening? I don't have to. I know, just like the narrative about innocent, unarmed black men being killed by police officers. I know it because it is the current age. And if that were happening, there would be video of it everywhere. You'd be seeing Ring door cameras. You'd be seeing cell phone videos. There would be video you would be seeing body cam videos secured through Freedom of Information Act requests. They would be everywhere. And we would rightly be pissed off about it. But it's not happening. Just like all their martyrs are monsters, right? Every time you get one of these outrageous stories about, a bunch of police officers ganged up and murdered this innocent black man who was doing nothing wrong. Oh no, he overdosed on fentanyl. Oh, he was raping his baby mama and kidnapping her children. Oh, No, he was breaking into houses and stealing property from people when a couple of guys tried to effect a citizen's arrest. Every single time. You haven't heard the story, with the exception of there was one kid that was like 13 or 14 years old that was shot by a cop, and it was a bad they argued it was a bad shoot because the gun the kid had was a toy gun. Movie props, guys, right? These are toy guns. These are not real firearms. I don't have real firearms just sitting out in my studio unsecured on the daily, right? I promise you, I guarantee you, with the exception of the two that still have orange tips on them, if I was to take one of those out in public, especially the 240 Bravo there, or the 249, or God forbid, the light anti-tank weapon right there, 100% guarantee you an officer's going to come up to me, and with the 240 or the 249, he's not going to come up and politely ask me questions. He's going to draw down, call for backup, and they're going to surround me and demand I put the weapon on the ground. Those are toys. Those are not real guns. But like I did the demonstration one time last year, and YouTube threw me off immediately. I can grab one of those, and even breaking it down, they're airsoft guns, right? Some of them are mechanically identical to a real gun. The only difference being that it has a gas tube for propane to eject the BB instead of a firing pin to strike a primer. But it's still got a buffer spring, still got a bolt carrier mechanism. It's got a charging handle. It's got an upper and lower receiver. It breaks down exactly like a real M4 because that's their training equipment, right? And we use them for props on films. They work, and not all of them. Some of them are electric, but most of them are, they're gas powered, and they're literally mechanically identical to a real weapon until you get down to the firing pin where there's a gas post instead of a firing pin. Anyway, so how'd we get to where we are in Minnesota? Well, like I was saying a minute ago, Frey's complaining, or Fry, whatever, the Olsenite is complaining that their police force is underpowered, not strong enough. And you know what? That's an interesting complaint. I wonder why that is. I wonder why it is that Minnesota and Minneapolis are underprepared, are undermanned for these. Oh, that's right. During the Summer of Love, where, as we've been told repeatedly, Renée Good was shot just blocks away from where Saint Floyd of fentanyl OD'd on the sidewalk. The Minnesota and Minneapolis governments, they were vocal proponents of BLM and defunding the police. Can you imagine? Just 5-6 years ago, there was legitimately a popular movement in this country to defund the police. And it was the left. These people do not understand. Roof Koreans happen. Old cranky white boys happen. Y'all, I don't need police. I do not need the police. They are not a net value add to my life. The police serve they serve two primary functions: revenue collection, harassing lawful citizens and collecting revenue for government operations, and 2, protecting criminals. That's what you're seeing in Minnesota and Minneapolis right now. Frey is actively using his police forces to hinder ICE operations. Guys, that's not just insurrection. That is civil war. That's where we're at. You have mayors and governors, Frey and Walz, and they're not the only ones, sending their armed employees to fight the armed agents that are being sent into their country, that are being sent into their state and their city to enforce the federal law, which the overwhelming majority of American citizens voted to have enforced. Right? That's another major factor that cannot be ignored in this conversation. It is not simply the case that the American people voted for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, who has our trust because he's the guy we elected, at least in theory and at least on paper and legally, Donald Trump then decided, after we gave him that trust, he then decided that what he wanted to use that trust for was to go and round up illegal aliens and solve the border crisis. That's not how it happened. We didn't say, we trust you to do what's right. And then he said, well, I think what's right is securing the border and rounding up the hostile foreign aliens. No. He said, hey guys, elect me, trust me to do what's right. And if you do, the thing that I will do that I think is what is right is secure the border and round up and deport these hostile foreign aliens. Right? Trash Panda 1, thanks for joining us. Trash Panda 1 says, America doesn't need ICE Nazis. That's awesome. You have an opinion, and I hope you find yourself in jail, because you are literally the reason people like you with your sociopathy and your insane leftist rhetoric, you killed Renée Good. Your mental illness created the circumstances under which a mentally unstable leftist nut job went and willfully committed federal crimes and tried to murder an ICE agent, obstructing in the course of his duties, and got herself killed, because the reasonable thing to do when you're conducting lawful activity and lawless sociopaths attempt to murder you is to murder them right back. So yeah, thanks for joining this morning, Panda, and you can take your bullshit somewhere else. Good luck. Dictator wannabe Trump is desperately trying to distract from the fact that Trump is all over the Epstein files. You know, and I can say I know something about you, Trash Panda. You didn't give a shit. You didn't give a shit about the Epstein files until Donald Trump was president again. You in fact, I can almost guarantee, told somebody that the whole Epstein thing was a wild right-wing conspiracy theory, and there was no there. You never gave a shit about the Epstein files. So that's let's see where we at. We finished the Nick Sorter clip. I've got the article reporting on the arrest of the sociopath. The gang member who stole the FBI rifle, but I've already covered all the information here. He was Gutierrez, a member of the Latin Kings, broke into a weapons locker. And he's been arrested. He's in custody. So I think we've covered everything I wanted to cover this morning. Let's go ahead and put a pin in it there. It is 8:15 on a Friday morning. And here's your safety brief, guys. Go healed. that sidearm, that daily carry, you don't leave home without it. But more importantly, just stay out of the cities. They're trash. The only thing you're going to find when you go into a city is shitty people like this trash panda kid and garbage food and violence and filth. The cities are a lost cause. They're all risk, no reward, total downside. Let them eat themselves. Right? Go to the local farmer's market. Go to the small town cafe. Right? Or just get your ass out in the yard and chop some lumber. It's fucking cold this morning. Thanks, guys. We love you. And we will see you tomorrow evening. Mario's taking point on the deep dive tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about modern heresies. So we'll see you tomorrow evening for the deep dive. We love you. Be safe out there.